Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Okay, so we gotta talk about this Ronnie stuff. We do. This story has Erica Slezak coming on the show has been more fan service than a story that makes actual sense, right? Now they do this whole little tongue-in-cheek thing where she walks into the diner, she sees Jack, and she calls him Joey. And then Jack is like, "Yeah, I don't. That's not my name or whatever." And he says this offhanded comment like, "Well, maybe in another life." And it's like, okay, I get it. Now, granted, I say I get it because I did used to watch One Life to Live, and I didn't know he used to sit there and play Joey. I didn't see it because that's when they did the whole reboot, and everything kind of went tits up. But the point is, it's like, okay, that was their little joke or whatever, and fan service just for the fact that listen, I used to love One Like to Live. Okay, two of my favorite characters was Colin and Todd. Colin, Troy, whatever the hell they want to sit there and call him. But like at that point, it just kind of ends, right? Um, first she's sitting there talking to Jack, and then Carly comes over there, and Carly's like, "Yeah, you're kicking out my son and everything like that." And I feel like there's a point when she starts doing this old frail woman look, right? And it's like, Carly. Carly's not gonna sit there and really start going ham on her, right? And Gio overhears it, and Gio's sitting there pleading with her. And, she's just like, well, I just got to do it or whatever. It's, get money and for a person in my position and stuff like that. I'm just like, okay. Like, even this whole her getting a house doesn't make sense, right? Like, it's like giving somebody a big ass expensive gift, knowing that they don't really have that much money, and just like, well, how are you going to sit there and keep paying for it? How are you going to pay for the upkeep, the maintenance, and stuff like that? You are on a waitress salary. I gotta tell you the truth, like the whole damn thing doesn't make any sense. Now, at some point, she runs into Michael. Michael's sitting there talking with Sonny. And I feel like some of the questions that Sonny's sitting there asking Michael is a question that his attorney should be sitting there kind of prepping him on. Like, there's a point where Sonny talks about how Willow's lawyer is going to be Alexis. And Alexis is going to use the simple fact that, Willow, she had to deal with Dawn of Day. She had to sit there and fight breast cancer. She had to, deal with losing a child, as opposed to you, who grew up rich and privileged and, you know, all this other stuff. And she's going to use that against Michael. And then there's a point where it's like, I feel like Michael just gets like hurt or whatever. Like, oh, I knew other people saw me like that, but I didn't think that you saw me like that. And like that's not where he's coming from. And also, I get what Sonny's trying to do, but I feel like this is one of those things where it's like this is what a lawyer should be doing, not you, right? And then afterwards, well, Drew. What the hell is Drew actually doing? Oh, Drew's with Nina, and this is a time where they should probably be working together to sit there and try to help Willow out. And the only thing that Drew says to Nina is that he's going to lie to the police and say that Michael shot him. So you can see Michael shooting you from your back, like really? Because you got shot in the back. But more importantly, Nina's like, that's not going to work. That's how she's going to make the situation worse. which is why she was not there saying why she recanted her story, because it's going to blow up in your face. It was going to blow up in her face, and it was going to make, um, Willow look even guiltier. And then, Drew says some offhand comment like, oh, well, I'll sit there if I decide to help you have a better relationship or something like that. And he just like kind of walks off or whatever. And of course, he walks right to Michael and Sonny and just kind of throwing it in their faces like, oh, well, I'm going to sit down by the house and, you should come there to sit there and see it and watch me. This way I get to sit there and see the look in your face or whatever. Just to really kind of bait him. And of course, Michael doesn't fall for it. And at some point, Michael runs into Ronnie. And, once again, he sits there and tries to plead with her. Hell, he even sits there and says, listen, I'll give you more money for the house. Whatever it takes. You just sit there and name your price. He's like, oh, the deal's already finally done. And that's when Michael's like, this isn't about the money. This is not about the money, because if it was, you would have sat there and really tried to hurt me out. And he knows that like she is tearing up, and he's like, this is not something that Monica would want. Monica didn't even want him on a property. You honestly sit there telling me that she would want this house to go to him? Like, come on. And he sees the look, the fear, the desperation in her eyes. He's like, whatever it is, I'll help you out. Like, I got you. Just tell me what it is. And she's really petro of like going to jail and stuff like that. Um, and there's a point where she's like, she is in over her head with Drew. And just as she's about to sit there and tell him the truth, Drew and Marty walks on in. And of course, Drew's gonna get thrown in his face, oh, I'm gonna move in here with Willow and your kids and everything like that. And Ronnie snaps at him. Ronnie's like, okay, listen, you got what you wanted. You don't need to sit there and be an asshole and throw it in his face. You can tell she seemed like she's about to like crack up and everything. And I guess Martin's soul just decided to pop out like, all right, listen, how about everyone just kind of chill out and let's just get this deal done, and that's about it. Martin does sit there and tell Laura that he is working for Drew again. And he basically sits there and says, well, a lot of times you don't have to always like the boss that you're working for. Let's be honest, he's working for Drew, so this way he can pay off his 4 ex-wives. Um, so yeah, he was with Laura earlier, and just kind of just letting her know about that and about how he is working, um, to do the whole Measure C thing. Now, just going back, because I just thought about something, just going back to Nina and Drew's conversation, there's a point where Nina's like, okay, what is Martin doing to sit there and try to get bail for Willow? Because I can't let her sit there and stay in Pentonville. And I'm like, why will Marty be sitting there working on her bail? Like, what I'm saying? Like, you got a lawyer. Oh, never mind. I could have swore she said Martin, but she could have meant Alexis. Yeah, everyone sits down and papers right there, and everyone's sitting there looking at her to sit there and sign the paper. And Michael's like one more time, like, you don't have to do this. Drew Smith, they're giving her the pen, and she's hesitating. Now, Lulu and Tracy are together for a little bit, and then Lucy comes over. And Lucy comes over to sit there and show some other houses and stuff like that. And, they get to talking about the boxes, the memories and stuff. And not Tracy, Lucy says there's a point where they were at the funeral and she was talking about how hurt she was because Tracy was like, I don't have nobody to sit there and talk to about my other family members that are deceased, that are deceased, like Monica and Alan and Edward and Lila and stuff. And Lucy was like, you can sit there and talk to me about it. And, she was sitting there saying, you can't sit there and keep this bottled up. Um, you can't sit there and keep pushing people away and just kind of just grieving by yourself. The thing is, well, one of the things is that Lucy, you're annoying on a good day. Okay, you are annoying on a good day, and she is still sitting there processing her grief. So even on a good day, she don't want you around, right? And I could have swore I said this maybe in my Days of Our Lives review. I think I said in my Days of Our Lives review. I'm like, you can't tell somebody how to sit there and grieve, and oh, you should grieve with me, you should talk to me and stuff like that. Like, let her do her thing. Like your heart might be in the right place, but let her do her thing. Anyway, after that, she kind of softens up and talks about, Alan and the train set and stuff like that. And of course, that will, it's still in one of those boxes and stuff. So, after a while, she's like, you can sell me some more houses later on, but I got to sit there and sort this stuff out. So as she's sorting a whole bunch of things out and deciding what stuff she wants to keep, what stuff she wants to put in storage, towards the end, she finally finds the will. Now, how it got in one of those boxes, maybe they'll sit there and explain it. But she does that, she finds it just as Ronnie is about to sit there and sell the house to Drew. Now, my question is, let's just sit there and say, and this is for my lawyers and stuff like that, and people that know real estate, property law, and stuff like that. Let's say that Ronnie actually sells, she signs the paper, she gives it to Drew, and Tracy comes up with the real will. Does it matter if she already signed it and gave it to Drew? Because shouldn't the will null and void, like, even after, what I'm saying? Like, shouldn't just null and void that whole transaction because that's the actual true will? And, like, it doesn't matter if she sells it to Drew or not because that will was a forgery. It was never hers to sit there and sell. So let me know if it matters or not as far as, like, if she gives it after or before, because it still should sit there and be the same thing, I imagine. Now, at some point, Nina tracks down Sonny, and it's like, I got a way for us to both sit there and save our kids. And she talks about, listen, my child is on the list, your child's on the list, or whatever, as far as being high suspects. But there's another one that's in the wind. And she pretty much throws Portia under the bus and says, she throws Portia under the bus by basically saying that Drew was blackmailing her. And she's like, listen, I can't go to the police because I'm Portia's friend. But you can. I'm like, and you don't think that when the shit hits the fan, that Portia's not going to sit there and remember that you threw her under the bus? Like, I don't understand, like, well, if you do it and I don't do it, then it's cool. Like, no, she's still going to know. Like, I'm like, at that point, you might have just did it yourself. I don't understand, like, she doesn't want to sit there and get her hands dirty. Now, Sitwell comes to sit there and see Dalton. Long story short, he's like, you know what, listen, you've been dragging your feet for far too long, and you are getting replaced. And I'm like, okay. And he brings Britt in. I'm like, so you're just going to kick him out and put Britt in? But apparently Britt is supposed to then be in charge of Dalton um, to get him to work and get results faster. Basically, Smith is saying that, I have incentive for both of y'all to sit there and get this shit done. And, they go back and forth for a little bit and Sitwell leaves. Then Dalton's like, how about we just cut Sitwell out in general? We could sit there and sell it to a third party. We could be set for life. And I'm like, see, there's a problem with that. Because, Britt, she didn't really die. She kind of came back from the dead. She likes breathing. I don't think that she wants to sit there and double cross Sitwell. Now, if you don't mind signing on death warrant, that's cool, but I think she likes being among the land of the living. Now, speaking of that, you have Emma Smith there telling um, Gio that they got a good window now and that, it's the time to sit there and strike. Tells Gio to sit there and fall back because she got to do a little flirting to sit there and kind of, get her way into this lab and expose him. So when she gets down there, she sees Britt, and of course she calls her the Bridge because that's just a nickname that they've been using apparently. And it's pretty much just like, what the hell are you doing here? And at this point, Britt is just smiling like, the hell? I mean, let's be honest. I heard Emma never liked um, Britt from Jump. I mean, she didn't really like Sam, but she kind of warmed up to her. Britt, on the other hand, nah, not like her. Um, I didn't. It's not so much that I didn't. Well, I didn't care, but it's the conversation didn't really resonate with me. The conversation between Lulu and Laura, basically sitting there trying to get her advice because her kids are sitting there lying to her, and she feels like they're being pulled away from her and towards Britt and Valentine, and she doesn't know what to do. And so, Laura gives her motherly advice or whatever. And, afterwards, and the reason why I sit there and say it didn't work for me, because I'm not a woman, so that asked my mother for advice, so it doesn't really resonate with me. Pretty sure it was an interesting conversation for any mother that wants to talk to their mother about advice about parenting their children. It just didn't really do anything for me. But afterwards, she goes and she runs across Jack, and Jack is like, Valentine wants to set up another meeting. Now, I don't know if she had an epiphany before where she was like, talking about Charlotte and Valentine and everything like that. But she pretty much kind of shuts that down, since they're saying that she has a life here. I don't want it to be disruptive by, constantly flying back and forth. Just to sit there and be able to play whatever sort of game that you and Valentine got going on. Now Jack is like, okay, what if it was more of a stateside visit? Because I could have swore Carly. I don't remember how, but I'm pretty. I know it had a lot to do with Carly's influence of transferring Valentine, um, to Port Charles or stateside or whatever. Now I'm going to be honest, her working with Valentine, because when Valentine betrays her, and I feel like he's going to do that. Carly's just going to be looking like Boo with a fool. I know that he said he apologized for screwing her over and practically killing her or almost killing her, but like, I mean, listen, Valentine's going to do what Valentine has to do, right? Like, he had no problem at that time when Drew thought he was Jason. Oh no, Valentine shot Kevin in the arm. He shot Nicholas out of a window. So Valentine's going to do what he got to do. Like, and this is the person that you're sitting there trusting. Okay. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of surprised that Lulu didn't sit there and give Marty hell when Lulu came to see her mother and saw Marty there. Like, yeah, she gave him like the evil eye, the stink eye, whatever, but like, given the way that Drew was snipped at acting and Martin was just like, still his attorney and stuff like that, I'm surprised that she didn't go more ham on him. Now, I feel like that's about it for the most part. Um, if I missed anything, write in the comment section below. I'll be doing a live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. I'll be sitting there talking about all 5 of the soaps. You know what they are. And I will sit there and see you in the next video.